negotiated the Camp David Accords, when actually, I didn't mention that in 67, Israel also captured the Sinai Peninsula, this whole big region right here from Egypt. And as a part of the Camp David Accords, Israel gave that chunk of land back to Egypt. And really since then has had a relatively decent peace and relationship with Egypt. Bill Clinton actually did some work as well to work toward peace. He helped in the early and mid-90s negotiate what's known as the Camp David Accords. I'm sorry, not Camp David, the Oslo Accords. And there's actually two parts to that. In 1995, what's known as Oslo II looked specifically at the West Bank and divided it into three areas: Area A, Area B, and Area C. In a long-range plan to eventually get it stabilized and get it turned over to the Palestinians for a two-state arrangement, the way the UN tried to do it back in the late 40s. Area A, surrounding cities like Hebron and Ramallah and Jericho and Nablus and some others, the areas designated Area A were to be completely, totally under the control and administration of the Palestinians. Areas designated Area B under Oslo II in 1995 were to be joint administered between Israel and the Palestinians, and areas designated Area C would be strictly under the control of the Israeli authorities. Again, with the idea being that arrangement would continue to morph and evolve towards the establishment of a Palestinian state where it would all essentially be Area A. However, certain factions among the Israelis did not want to see that happen and began to establish what's known as Jewish settlements in the West Bank. I know you've heard that term in the news, the settlements, the settlements, the settlements. What's a settlement? A settlement is a Jewish neighborhood, city, that is established inside the, quote, occupied territory, i.e. inside what is supposed to be eventually a Palestinian state. And the strategy really is, I mean, this is what's going on, at least among many. If we can get enough of a foot, and when I say we, I mean Israelis, if we can get enough of a foothold in the West Bank, if we can get enough people living there, established there, then we can say, well, we got X number of people living there with homes and schools and hospitals and businesses. We can't just, what do you want us to just leave it and turn it over? We can't do that. Although it seemed like, I'll come back to this graphic. There's an example of a settlement. One of these Jewish towns built oftentimes on a hilltop like this. And oftentimes it's land that Arabs, Palestinians farm, for example. But the Israeli government can justify legally seizing it because these Arab families who have been living here for hundreds of years don't have modern legal documentation saying they actually own it, even though they do, because it's been the family for hundreds of years, but they don't have a deed, let's say, the way we're accustomed to having to say, no, this is ours, so Israel can say, well, we're just going to come in there and take it. And we can do it legally because the paperwork is in order.
Why didn't they establish their paperwork?
Hmm?
Why don't they establish their paperwork?
Well, who are you going to establish it with?
Well, I mean, their government.
Well, like Israel would just say, well, it's bogus, it's invalid.
So what would make Israel valid?
Yeah.
Because they say so.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it?
Because they say that they make the argument that in the absence of documentation that we will rubber stamp as valid, saying that it actually belongs to someone, we're going to claim it for ourselves.
It'd be like you go into Germany or something and say, I'm going to take over this town right here. I'm going to say it's part of the United States now. That's just ridiculous.
Well, it is, and that's why the settlements are such a huge problem, because it's such an affront. It's such an affront to Arabs who are living there. Now, let me be clear. Please don't leave here thinking that all Israelis and all Jews are conspiring and that they're all bad and that all that live in these settlements are terrible people. That's not the case. Because I know settlers who live here who actually stick their neck out and try to do good things and establish good relationships and work against some of the darker side of stuff that's going on in the Palestinians' favor. They don't get very far because the ones in power don't want to hear it. But please don't think that all Israelis, all Jews are, terrible, bad. I promise you that's not the case. Again, it's the ones in power, which is always the problem, right? It's the folks in power.
A large portion of the people who are settling in those settlements are actually Americans.
Yeah, Americans who are on board with this kind of modern manifest destiny kind of idea applied to Israel, like we have in our own country, in our own history. Again, there have been valiant efforts at peace. It really looked like if there ever was a time in 2005 when a peace may have been within reach and within sight. In August 2005, this was a really big move for Israel to make. There were settlements also by 2005, 2006 in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli government ordered every single settler, Jewish settler, to pack up and leave. And it was in an effort to move towards a peace, to move towards a two-state situation. And like I said, for Israel to have done that was big. It was 1,700 some odd families. Houses, business, out, now, leave it. All it's going to be all turned over to the Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority in the Gaza Strip. With the idea being the next step would be the same thing in the West Bank. However, let's just say peace is not in some people's best interests. In the vacuum that was left behind, with Israel completely unilaterally pulling out of the Gaza Strip, in that power vacuum, the Palestinian group known as Hamas essentially took over. And Mahmoud Abbas and his Palestinian Authority was not able to assert itself in the area, and so what you wound up with was an extremist Palestinian group in control in the Gaza Strip, after which you started seeing rockets fired from the Gaza Strip into Israel. About that same time, you also had, in June of 2006, in July of 2006, another extremist Arab group called Hezbollah up in Lebanon basically starting to do the same thing from up there, lobbing rockets over from Lebanon into northern Israel. The reason being Hamas and Hezbollah is like 1949 all over again. I'm not saying this in a judgmental way, this is just the way it is. They looked at this move back towards two states as just as unacceptable then as it was in 1948-49. Oh, great, you give us the Gaza Strip area back, okay. Next, West Bank, next, everything else, and y'all get out of the entire country. There are some factions within the Palestinians, and that's the only thing acceptable, that every single Jew leaves the entire country. Now again, that's not the majority. It's a very small minority, but they're the rogue ones with the rockets. And basically that derailed what I think could have been a peaceful, a path towards a somewhat peaceful two-state solution, with what Hamas did in Gaza and Hezbollah did in Lebanon when that was trying to get moving and get off the ground.